We each contain multitudes, not just the parts we're proud of, the healer, the teacher, the mystic, but the gambler, the trickster, the tyrant. Every archetype that has ever moved through human experience lives somewhere in you, in me, in all of us. And the shadow isn't the enemy. The light isn't the destination. The middle path, where you can hold the full range with compassionate awareness, that's where we actually get to know ourselves. I'm Kelly, a mystic, a scribe, and many other archetypes besides. And the devotion of my life is looking into this divine mirror of archetypes with full honesty and reflecting that compassion outward. Each video in this series takes one archetype from the Oracle by Carolyn Myss and opens it along three threads: the shadow or the low road we've walked, the light, the high road we're seeking or reaching for, and the middle path, the one that can hold both and carry us forward while we carry it along the path of self-mastery. This is the fullness of what it means to be human. This is the archetypal attunement. Hello and welcome to today's archetypal attunement. This is the engineer today, and I'm really excited to jump into this because it looks so cut and dry. It looks like there's no depth. It looks like it's all mechanics and that's it, and there's nothing to it from the image, but there's not. It's like there's this human central to everything. So, jumping in here with the light attributes, ability to give creative energy a practical expression, talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas, and the shadow attribute being reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences. Wow. So, at best case scenario, the engineer is able to have the divine blueprint. Really best case scenario in the light attributes. Like you're able to actually channel your creative energy into structuring what's good for humanity. However, if you take that ability for systems planning and you cultivate a mind towards establishing control or, dominating a market or an economy or, the list goes on, this energy can be used towards the worst. So what we are looking for again is going to be a middle path road. What is the middle path? So I have numerous tarot decks next to me and I'm feeling which one wants to be used, and this is awesome. I'm going to be using the Zombie Tarot today, folks. That's really cool. Okay, and so as I'm shuffling, I want to say some things here, because even on the box, it says, insight and ammunition, surviving the undead uprising, and legitimately, okay, so 3 cards have come out here, and I'm going to get these into place. So we've got, what do we have here? Let's see. 2 of Coins, 2 of Hazards, 2 of Pentacles, and King of Wands reversed. Ooh, 2 Kings. And King of Pentacles, King of Hazards. This is really interesting, folks. All right, so this is the middle path. And here, this is already a card of the middle path. It's reminding us that this is the middle path. 2 of Hazards, in this case, Pentacles. It's the earth principle. Look at his hands are on the ground. And he doesn't even have legs. Ooh. Oh my gosh. This is so much a balance between your animal and your human. It's putting a leash on it. It's putting a leash on the animal in you, but also asking the question, are you treating it humanely? Because again, the shadow is not regarding the emotional consequences. And anyone that's ever had a pet, namely a dog, you put a leash on that thing. I'm sorry, but if I see a person yanking their dog, I'm not even going to go into it. But here's the thing. If you don't have compassion, you certainly should not be putting a collar on something. If you don't know how to provide correct stewardship of something, you shouldn't be dominating over it. And so this is the balance here of being able to, and that is the king energy, correct stewardship. Kings, if they are good to their people, if they spread the wealth, if they promote the well-being in the kingdom, they don't have uprisings. You know, they have happy, loyal servants, and they live prosperously. But there's one in reverse and there's one upright. And the one in reverse is King of Wands. This is so interesting because King of Wands is the fire. Wands is the passion. Wands is will. I want. And if you just want to devour everything, you know, if you want to look at, he's even got a drill in his hand. If you want to engineer all of the systems to devour everything, then you will be alone at the end of it with just your tools. And look at how cool that is. Like, there's so much mechanics here. And I won't go off on a thing about AI, but it has to be mentioned here. Like, it's meant to come up because there's potentials there. Huge potentials for, like, the zombie tarot has to be used for a reason because, like, our humanity is on the line here. Are we creating systems that, and this isn't a scare thing, like, I personally do use AI in my own moral, ethical code. And I believe that that is a tool that could level the playing field for people who don't otherwise have the resources in the capitalist model to gain access or to get anywhere with anything. I digress, but and also I don't, because this whole point is like, are we creating systems that, or are we using systems in ways that are shirking our humanity? And the middle path here is suggesting correct stewardship, correct kingship. And this King of Pentacles, upright at the end of all of that, is like, look at him, he's tied up. It's suggesting restraint. That's why this king is reversed, because this one's not restrained. This one's not restrained, and he's actually moving forward, building more tools. Look at, he cut off his own leg, it looks like. That's way too big to be a, whatever, shin bone, whatever that thing is called. I'm going to reach for it, but I don't want to. He's still going forward. He's still trying to create more. There's no restraint. And in this one, it's like it looks like he even almost tried to do it for himself. Like he chewed off his own feet and he locked himself into this chair because he didn't want to do more damage than good. This is restraint. So this whole conversation here is talking about, like, the correct balance of power, but within yourself, within your own self-familiarity, your own self-loyalty, you're being your own best friend as far as maintaining your integrity and your correct relationship with leadership. Are you leading the way forward, or are you letting some animalistic part of you lead the way forward? Are you letting, do you know what I'm saying? Like, and also because there's so much logic and reason and, like, addictive strategizing that's involved in the capitalist model. And I am going to rag on capitalism because I do think it's garbage. I think it's absolute garbage to have an entire world based on capitalism. It's so not human. And so in the middle path, to be able to consider being human is like, yes, even though it's great to be able to build things, to gain a kingdom, to establish a kingdom, if you are a good leader, you should be in a position of stewardship. But if you're walking that path, you better be checking your animal instinct all along the way. Let's get some more cards here. I'm going to get the low road here. Again, I'm going to go with the zombie tarot and see what you've got for me here. So what's the worst case scenario of this shadow attribute engineer? How does this, like, actually come up more, like, mostly? What is the thing that we can look at in us so we can get an idea of how to deal with this? We've got two cards coming out. The zombie's got a lot to say right now. Okay. This image doesn't, like, this imagery and artwork doesn't always click with me, but we're pretty much locked in here today, so thanks, zombie. All right, so let's see. We've got the Three of Wands reversed. Yeah, we can see that. And the Three of Swords reversed. This is so interesting. Okay. So again, we're with wands, but now we've got swords too. And this is about intellect and cruelty with the Three of Swords. As you can see, it's a heart. I'm going to turn these up right so we can get a better look at the actual pictures here. All right. So, wow. This is like, do I need to say anything about this Three of Swords? I mean, seriously, it's horrible. But this is like, this happens. And it's not horrible based on perspective, but the why and the how and the ways that this is happening is not good. Okay, so the worst case scenario is like we are literally consuming each other. And whether that's literal and or metaphoric, the worst case scenario of the engineer is that humanity gets consumed and it is devoured and it is cooked. I mean, it's cooked. Our hearts are cooked. Our hearts are done. It's not even a thing that we keep within us anymore. And swords energy is about mentality because the reasoning, there's this episode of Bluey that's coming to mind. Like, yes, Bluey, the kids show. And it's so funny this is coming in, but the kids want the dad to clean the room. And he's like, Daddy Robot. And they're like, matter of fact, we never want to clean our room ever again. He's like computing. Oh, and then he picks them up and he starts taking them to the trash can. And they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, this is the best solution. If you are gone, you'll never make a mess in the playroom. And it'll never have to be tidied again. That's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about with this Three of Swords exactly. Like the best case solution excludes humanity. And that already said that, but this is like a really colorful and parent roped in illustrative, metaphoric way to say that. And then we also had the Three of Wands with that. I'm having a hard time with the focus on this here, folks. Okay, so we've got this Three of Wands here with that. Wow, look at them railing down this door, busting in, raining on everyone's parade. Like, I seriously don't even need to go very far with this at all. It is what it is. Like this is willful intent to destroy and harm and rain on everyone else's parade because, again, it either suits your logic or you don't care or you've reasoned and rationed it away. You've reasoned and rationalized it away. And that's what this is together. You have, at the low road of the engineer, reasoned and rationalized whatever perspective you've built that makes logic way heavier than emotion. And that is not proper stewardship at all. That is the absolute allowing your base animal instincts, the reptilian brain instinct, and your base nature to take over. And like at one point, like that is the lowest of humanity because it is inhumane. It is the mechanical. It is the robotic. It is the, there's nothing warm-blooded and soft-skinned about that. It is cold and cruel and calculated and strategized, and that's not human, and that's not a world that anyone should be wanting to engineer. But what is, this is super cool. Hierophant in reverse. And I got a lot of cards this time. I guess I'll push this back over here. So this is low road over here. We'll keep it over here. This is high road over here. And then this is the middle road. This is so messy. I'll have to dance with this. How about this? Nine of Hazards and the Hierophant. So this is the Nine of Pentacles and the Hierophant. Oh my gosh. All right. So legitimately, this is wild. This is about the fact that you do have to establish your own moral inner compass in order to create your heaven on earth. The Nine of Pentacles is a card about where you're in your garden of happiness, where you have cultivated, you've worked, you've mastered, you've learned how to give and receive in all this journey. And also, though, you're in a garden of your own. And like, look at, this is one woman and she's like shopping for herself and who knows if this person is with them, but like, it's kind of like, I don't know, every person for themselves, which is true. And that perspective can either be It can either make you cold and calculating, trying to create a world in which you can win and dominate everyone because no one loves you anyways, or it can help you want to build a more compassionate world where like maybe everybody can actually get all along, even if we are all different, even if there are zombies and humans walking around, even if there's different tastes and different things. And that's why it's about designing your own moral compass and not deviating from that. Oh my gosh. And this is so cool too, because this whole archetype of the engineer, and I feel like I've been stuttering and stretching and reaching because there's this underlying thread that I haven't been like closing my eyes and reaching to because there's so much going on here. And that's why this figure is bald. That's why this figure is bald, because there's no barrier to the crown chakra. There's no barrier at all. And sometimes hair is an antenna, and that's valid also, but this also is like a mirror reflection of the divine. My husband has a bald head. And, like all this like clarity here. Because we were all engineered differently. And there are those of us, and maybe they're not us. Maybe there are entities and beings on this earth and in this life that are not human, and that were engineered to create, systems and not solutions and not resolutions. There is that. And that's all part of some like intricate divine story that creates tons of potentials for us to actually engineer our own lives. And this is the deeper thread here, because this Hierophant with the TV on here, and it's like programming, you know what I mean? Look at this, rescue stations. There is no rescue. There is no rescuing unless you do it for yourself, unless you create that narrative, unless you engineer the world in which rescuing happens. And I'm not saying like literally physically create it with your hands either. These cards aren't about building, they're about balance, and they're about checking the base nature. And the only card that references the building part of it is the part where it's already done. Because we are engineers, we are creator beings, we are beings that are such that when we do the king thing, which is mastery, which is like we've done all of the numbered cards, the court cards that come before this, and we've done this like mastering and the walking of the whole path and the walking of the whole journey, then we know who we are and what we want to create, and what our integrity is, and what we can do within that, and what we don't want to do, what we won't do. And that way we don't harm people, and our willful intentions are checked and like metered and balanced. So the high road is developing this really firm garden of inner morality. I know I'm being extremely colorful here, but it's so funny because I can't engineer different words to explain what I think is a very personal thing for everyone. This heart is for real. Because it's being eaten alive. And if your heart is being eaten alive, that's a very personal thing. That's not something that anyone else can like really even identify or help or do anything about unless you take the leadership position, unless you check your own programming, unless you identify what you would rather have engineered. It's remarkable that there's no cups. There's no cups here. And it says reliance on mechanistic solutions without regard for emotional consequences, because it didn't care about the emotions, even the whole way through. Because best case scenario, sometimes there does need to be an archetype that is based only on the other stuff. And that is like a wild thing that's blowing my mind right now. Not every single thing is evenly balanced. And that's okay because, wow, everything exists. Very interesting reading. I'm going to shuffle the Tarot of the Infinite Door because I'm honestly not feeling complete on this reading at all. And I don't want to leave it like that. I can't. Oh, that's all right. Well, you're as cold as ice and willing to sacrifice our love. Someday you'll pay the price. I think, I'm so sorry if that was terrible, but I'm totally going to leave it in. I think I made a short like about this and I wanted to sing that song and maybe I didn't have the guts to do it. Or maybe I did, I don't remember. Either way, this is incredibly astounding because like legitimately that you don't care. You're as cold as ice and someday you might pay the price. But maybe you don't. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I think that the answer is no. And if that sounds unfortunate, then maybe consider just looking at your like need for bloodlust and vengeance and stuff like that. And like your ability to accept that like it's that everything is okay to exist. Oh my gosh, and this is so cringeworthy because it's not, but it needs a whole conversation in and of itself. So gosh, I can't even release this until I have this conversation, which I might as well segue into. So listen, the story doesn't end here because this is a whole new baggage. But essentially, let me rope this in before I segue into that other conversation. And I'll kind of make this tidy, and then I'll make another video about this. Get it together, Kelly. Hone in the channel, because essentially what is being said here is that we are all creator beings. This is two kings and the emperor, with the two of hazards, which is balance, with the Hierophant, though, which is like 5 and the change and the dynamics, and this everything is so dynamic. And this is about being able to keep your cool even when the dynamics and the emotions and the stakes run high. Stakes, ha ha, get it? And it's so funny unless this is your heart on a spit, because then it's cruel and it's horrible and it's inhuman. But when it's a funny joke at someone else's expense, it's funny. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's partially what this other video is about, but not entirely. But this card rounds out that the engineer has a cold, hard acceptance of the facts, and its job relies on considering facts. And this is why many parts are necessary. This is why collaboration is necessary, and variance and diversity. Because the engineer needs to be an engineer, but somebody else needs to be... The other cards I have here that I'm going to do readings on today are the advocate, the student, the fool, and the poet. Somebody else needs to be all of those too, because not one person was ever meant to rule the world. The engineer at worst case tries to do that, tries to be the emperor, tries to be the kings, tries to do all of the balancing, all of the preaching, all of the stuff, and it at worst takes joy in the displeasure of others because it just wants to engineer the best thing for itself. Wasteland, cold as ice, King Midas, everything you touch turns to gold so you can't eat, but they don't care because they don't eat anyways unless it's us. Whoa, something just crashed huge downstairs in my house, and I'm not worried about it. It's my husband and my kids, and they'll work it out, and it's fine, but like that is so divinely timed for this. Like, I'm gonna stop this reading here. I have nothing else to say. I'm gonna do another reading about this, so look for that in the links. But the one last thing I'll say is if you liked this video and you do want to see more, make sure that you hit that like button and the subscribe, because this is an 80 card deck I'm working my way through, and this whole series is going to keep unfolding as it does. And so I look forward to seeing you in the next video and the one linked. Take care.